Hi everyone who's watching. Recently I've seen some videos with people doing a tour of their equipment and so forth. And I thought it would also be kind of a neat thing to do, maybe a step-by-step as far as video editing and how I record and so forth, and try and keep them separate as not to make this one big long video. So we're starting today with a tour of the room and the space and what I use, and hopefully you guys will find it interesting. I'll say that the ones that I've seen, probably the most interesting part is the behind the scenes stuff, you know, the what you don't normally see in other people's videos. So I really appreciated everybody else's, and mine probably isn't going to be that interesting. So let's move on. So I figured where I'd start as a tour of the room. I suck at holding my phone and talking, so bear with me here a little bit. I'm going to start from the perspective of how I walk into the room from the door here. So kind of go around the room here a little bit. This bench here, I actually stole this from a bar at closing time. A friend of mine and I grabbed it by one end and kind of just walked out. It holds some sentimental value, even though it takes up a ridiculous amount of space in this room and I never use it. This TV here, I put it up initially with the intent to like pay attention to how much time I had left on the camera itself, and to, you know, see what the camera's seeing, if I need to adjust angles because my vision's awful and I can't see the back of the camera sometimes. So it's up there, it's in a goofy spot. Over here, just some miscellaneous stuff. I keep most of my spare parts and, you know, extra pieces and so forth, generally inside, but, you know, clearly there's some stuff outside. These violins are actually my wife's, kept in the music room because it made sense. Over here is the drum set. You normally see it from this perspective one way or the other. And then over here, let's see, this is my it's a trophy for the runner-up for the second best Hooters in the region. I stole this from Hooters. A friend of mine and I were pretty drunk, walked out with it. Same thing, sentimental value. Same thing over here for this beer sign. Stole that. I don't have a thieving problem, I promise. Up here, I did a video on my lighting setup, which is like $50, super cheap, not LED. They're essentially just, you know, $10 can lights that are attached to the ceiling here. I find that it works really well for the lighting. It didn't cost me much to do, and really obviously lights up the drum set itself. Helps with the problem without spending a ridiculous amount of money. I've done some videos here for the guitars and bass guitar and so forth in the background, where I've actually played these. I do play them. They're not there for show, though I don't play them all that often, and probably play the bass guitar better than I play the other ones, but one way or the other, as far as playing these guitars are concerned, I play drums okay. I don't think I'm amazing at it. So I'm going to start with the cameras here first because they're the quickest to go through. So basically have a few of these. It's a GoPro Hero 4. This one's in a different position right now for the video, but I keep one up there, which is the side shot. There's another one that's clipped to the guitar up there for the back one. Still messing with this angle over here. Right now I have it attached to one of the room mics, and then we have the Zoom Q2N 4K that's mounted over there. So those are basically the camera angles. Over here on top of the sub for my PA system, which I really don't use anymore, I'll go over the drums you don't usually see in the videos unless I put them there. Over here we have a Yamaha Steel, that's a 14x7. We have a DW Design in matte black. That one is a 14x6. I have this old stamped Ludwig snare here. It's some type of wood over stainless, and it's a 14x5.5. And then over here, I've got my two Attic custom drum snares. The first, my over here guy, recently named the Doberman. It's a black nickel over brass 13 by 8. And then I stole this really from Eric, but it's maple 13 by 4. It actually sounds really good. I was surprised by the sound. I didn't know if it was going to be more of a piccolo sound, but I have been using both of those recently, obviously because they're recent purchases. All right, so I'll move on to the kit, and then I'll show it to you from my perspective. It's recently kind of changed around. First and foremost, the drums themselves are DW Design Series. There's a 10, a 12, 14, 16, and I believe a 22 bass. All right, so here it is from my perspective here. I just switched this out. This is one of my other snares. I don't know that much about snares, maybe you guys do, but this is a Tama 13 by 7 maple snare. I'm gonna go around here with the cymbals. I use all pasties for a couple of reasons. One, because I have OCD, and two, I haven't really owned a Zildjian that I haven't broken, although I like the sound of them. So over here, I've got a couple of 900 series and other splashes, both 10-inch. I've got pasty 2002 16-inch crash. Got this setup here for remote hi-hats, basically using 2 splashes with a choke on a remote, basically like an open hi-hat setup. Over here we've got a pasty Alpha 18. I've got my 900 series 20-inch ride, another 2002 17-inch, and your pasty China. Now here, although I do have another set of 2002 hi-hats, this is a set of Zildjian small stamps that I don't even remember where I got, but I've used them in various ways here or there. I know this kind of defeats what I just said about the Zildjian Simple Thing. Over here, we've got your Roland PD125 mesh head drum triggers. And then I've got down here your K8 Roland, or K7, one of those two, Roland bass trigger. I've got this cheapo Pearl bass pedal that I don't remember where I got from. Set of DW9000 remote hi-hats. Set of DW9000 double bass pedals. That also here has the trick shaft, and I have upgraded the springs on it, which I really recommend. This setup here, I've recently got a bunch of comments on. Obviously my hi-hats are here right in front of me. Relatively easy to do with a Gibraltar rack, and not necessarily what my first choice was going to be. It was actually going to be something more along the lines of the hats where the 10 is here, but in order to do that, I would have had to flip around the bass pedal. As you can see here from the DW remote hats, it's not really conducive for putting where the bass was. So when I set this up though, what I was looking for was something that was ergonomical. So I actually spent hours. I started with a hi-hat where it is and the snare where it is. And then I adjusted the bass drum here to a position that was most comfortable for me facing forward, which ended up being kind of off and to the right. And then, although I've made some slight changes here, say to the height of the 12, and I'm constantly fiddling with where I want my floor toms really to be in the end. This is the setup that I'm pretty much comfortable with and highly recommended. I mean, it's something that you can easily do if you're on a rack setup. Actually, I don't even think you necessarily need to be on a rack setup to pull this off. It's just that drum and some of this other stuff. I guess it gets a little more complicated, but you could solve that with stands. I just don't know why you'd want to. Alright, so now I'm going to move to the equipment, and you almost never see this in the video except for maybe the screen. So I'm going to show you this here now. Alright, so apologize for the mess here. This is why it's generally out of shot. So first and foremost, I was looking for something similar to a rack setup where I could kind of get everything in here. And so I built this. I had some spare wood sitting around and had some ideas in mind. You know, wanted a little bit of a slant here for where the laptop goes. Wanted, obviously, the components here to fit within the rack system. And I didn't really count on the 2 mixers here when I did this initially, but that was to solve a problem. So bottom to top here, I I've got a Kevin DM 1500. I think it's a 1000 watt or 1500 watt amp. This powers the PA setup, and again, I don't use the PA anymore. And then that moves me over here to your PV crossover. That was basically to run the sub. This is a XD23 something or another. Moving up, and again, kind of a little messy here. I've got Tascam US 1601, whatever that is, audio interface. I went with a 16 channel because obviously with the size kit that I have, plus the triggers, plus the music, plus whatever, I needed something with enough inputs. And as it turned out, when I moved to my mic setup, which I'll explain here in a second, I didn't have Phantom Power for just one channel. So I recently picked up this M48 Phantom Power supply. I actually like it. You basically run whatever mic you need for Phantom Power, and then I can just run it into one of the other channels that don't hold it, because the Tascams only have so many powered inputs or Phantom Power inputs. Here's where kind of I hide all my wires and cables, and that's where I hang my headphones and so forth. Actually just bought a set of in-ears that are coming tomorrow. So over here we've just got two cheap Behringer mixers. Essentially the point of this is I run my music into the Tascam, and I needed to also run the module into my DAW. So both of those things needed to go in, but then for my ears or for my monitors right now, which are the headphones, I needed something separate that didn't blast my ears with drums, because I don't really need to hear the drums in the mix. And that was the only option the other way, was to run phones out of the Tascam. So with this, that's why they're kind of cocked up like this. The one here is for my ears. The one over here is for the DAW. Moving up, just a laptop setup. That's the interface for the mixer, which I don't use, and then obviously the screen so I can see what's recording, etc., etc. All right, so moving right along to the mics here. I don't know if you can see that here. I've got a Shure PGA 56 mic that I use for underneath the snare. And then on top here, we have the Shure SM57. For the toms, I am using the Shure Beta 98 AMPs. The setup for these is really interesting. I thought about doing a video dedicated to this. I probably won't, but I will tell you that having condenser mics instead of dynamic mics for your tom poses some interesting problems. Really, as far as bleed is concerned, but the range of frequency in these is pretty amazing. And then as you can see, as I go around the kit here, you can put them anywhere. They're small form function, really don't get in your way a whole bunch, and really sound great. So I'm happy with them. Moving around here, we've got your Shure Beta 52A kick mic. Have that kind of halfway in, halfway out. I probably will come up with another solution for outside of the bass drum to pick up kind of the head. I was using the Shure SM57 for that at some point in time, but just wanted to use that for the snare and haven't come up with another answer. Over here is my room mic, and actually this kind of serves to some degree as a bit of the outside bass drum because it picks up more of that than anything else. This is your AKG P120, still messing with the rooms and the overheads. And then over here off to the corner, this is one of my overhead mics, set up in a stereo configuration. These are PreSonus PM2s. So there's one there. And then over in the corner is the second one, and obviously I've got the sound conditioning foam around both of those, so I'm not getting any reflection, I'm just getting the mic sound. One of the reasons why I have it so low is they don't pick up as much cymbals. It's really more of just like a overall picture. So in the end, the way that I mix these is the close mics forward, and the room and the overheads backward, or kind of in the back there. It gives just a little more depth to the room mics. And because my tom mics are all condensers, they're actually picking up a fair amount of stuff around the kit anyways. So it gives me a pretty solid picture without overwhelming the overall sound with just cymbals. So I kind of want to do something heading out of the room, because that was the part that I probably found more interesting than anything else when watching people's videos. So I'll show you what's on the other side of the door here.
What are you gonna do with these guys?
Oh, nothing really. I just always wanted to open a door to a room where people are being trained like in James Bond movies.
Wicked.
Yeah.
So walking out of the room, this is basically what I got on the other side of it. This is my bar area. You know, some lazy boys and so forth watching the game or whatever you want. And then in here is my family room. So that's the other side of the wall. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you don't rat me out for all the things that I told you I stole, which actually isn't everything in this room that I stole, but please stay tuned or look out for the following videos where I'm going to show you how I do my audio editing and then show you how I do my video editing. Those probably will be a little bit shorter, but either which way. Thanks for watching. Bye.